Logo's too big. Hold on, we're fixing it. Make it a little bit more manageable. Boom. Also, let's lock Dota so we don't move it around. Is this right? Looks right to me. Guys, welcome back to the South American... No, not welcome back. Welcome. Because I haven't done any of this regular qualifier yet. Welcome to the South American qualifiers here for the Bucharest Minor. We have ourselves a grueling 2-day best of 3 fest. I just linked the bracket in the chat. Shout out to Liquipedia, by the way. They're not affiliated with this at all, like in an official capacity, but I love that site, man. So shout out to you guys. We got ourselves a lot of games. INF.Young and WP, which, again, I'm not entirely sure if it's Well Played Gaming or if it's WP. Well Played is much easier to say, so I might just end up calling them that. So, you know, cards from the table, that's probably going to be what's happening. Will be the first round, and then we'll have Playmakers and Infamous regular in the second round, and then the winner will be played today as well. So 3 best of 3s today, so should be a long day of Dota. So here's hoping that the games are interesting. I could handle long days of Dota, but I can't handle long days of boring Dota, you know what I mean? Already this is kind of a bummer because this right here feels pretty bad, man. I mean, I haven't seen any techies in this patch. Yeah, at all. So I'm not sure if he's like this nut pick or something like that, but still feels pretty bad regardless. The fact that we're just not gonna see him at all in this game. Oh well, there's always next game. Although if you first ban techies, like, you're probably gonna first ban him in the next game and maybe in game 3. So INF.Young were actually invited to this closed qualifier. They didn't have to do anything, nor did Playmakers. Infamous proper as well as WP both had to play in through the open bracket, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, Well Played, I did not see any of your matches in the lower bracket, but they had to fight through some pretty heavy teams. Honestly, the competition for the SA open bracket rather was pretty fierce. Like, you got some pretty heavy names running around in the open bracket. I think WP played Gorilla's Pride in the open qualifier final match that they played. And if you guys don't know, GP are, you know, a team that could very easily have been here, like very easily. So that went to a game 3. So, you know, they definitely do have some star power. I mean, they got Cat, they got Benjaz, and of course Costa Bile, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not entirely sure, so, you know, my bad. But you know, these guys have been around the scene for absolute eternity, like forever. They've been around the scene, and you got some veterans on the INF.Young side as well. Skullfield is just as old, I would say, as the Cat and Benjazes of the scene, and Whisper, Robo, they're kind of up there as well. Not entirely sure what's going on with this guy, but I mean, hey, if you want to wear that name, I'm not gonna stop you. I'm just gonna, you know, not really make a huge effort to pronounce your name correctly because you messed up your name. I'm not even gonna try, man. I'll read the names you put on, and if you decide to be some sort of tricky person, then I will not make any additional effort. That's on you, man. That's on the players.
10 seconds.
Because if I call them something and then they turn out to be not that player, that's worse. That is so much worse. But we actually have our draft. It's outside of that techie first ban. There's stuff going on. Phoenix and Sand King. I haven't seen that much Phoenix in the first phase, honestly, from this newest patch. Still definitely does get the job done and is a pretty nice hero to have in the support capacity in the later stages of the game.
10 seconds.
But as a early game pick, seems to have fallen off just a little bit. I think you could still get away with it. You just have to work a little bit harder to kind of get over that early game hump. Especially when there's stuff like this on the other end. Undying and Centaur Warrunner are no early game slouches. Especially that Undying. Like, he's like the polar opposite to Phoenix. Really powerful in the early stages and then falls off pretty hard in the later. So if INF.Young really want to put the pedal to the metal, they certainly do have an opening set of heroes that are allowed to do that. Along those lines, the Juggernaut will be banned from Well Played. That type of early game aggression hero, along with a Luna or a Terrorblade, those type of heroes, wouldn't be surprised at all to see that from Well Played as they try to take it into a little bit more of a mid-late game team fight type of gameplay style. There's been quite a bit of Luna play in the Euro scene. I'm not sure about the Asian scene, because unfortunately all the Asian games happen at like 2 a.m. for me, so that's I love Dota, but I'm not gonna stay up, 2 to 5 a.m. watching Asian Dota. That's just not gonna happen, guys. Unless there's a major. Unless there's like a major or TI or something like that, then I might do that. But for qualifiers, man, I'll watch the VODs if someone tells me to watch the VODs, but that's about it. I'm not that crazy. They'll take out the Lone Druid, another hero that definitely can peek out in the early stages. But, we'll see if INF.Young actually do want to go for that type of style. They've banned out the Morphling, which is a pretty nice mid-rangey type hero. Okay in the early stages, not a fantastic early game hero or anything like that from the carry position, but can get the job done, can participate in some limited fashion. They took it out themselves. You could still look towards heroes like Mirana and Monkey King and Slark, these like really, really heavy mid-game heroes who do decently in the late game. If you're INF.Young, try to scale up a little bit in that fashion. I very rarely, if ever, have seen teams just go all in the early game, which feels like it should happen a little bit more than it actually does. I feel like that type of strat should be something that if you wanted to, you could get away with it. I'm pretty sure like the heroes that used to be able to do that though, like your Chens, are just like bad. Isn't Chen in like a dumpster right now? I'm pretty sure he is. I haven't seen any of them, and we haven't seen any Enchantress either. So like those type of early pushing heroes, man, they just don't exist anymore, which feels pretty bad. I wasn't a huge fan of watching Chen, but I really was a fan of what you can do if you suddenly got like a Chen and a Juggernaut, and then you just start pushing everything down. That was really cool. I liked that kind of strategic twist that you could suddenly apply to the 4th and 5th pick of your draft.
5 seconds remaining.
Well played, though. Go ahead and grab a Rubik. And that's going to be a little bit more of a hold down the fort type of hero. In the mid-game, in the mid-lane capacity, Rubiks have pretty good matchups almost across the board. I haven't seen this matchup, but I would assume TA probably has one of the better matchups up against the Rubik. Everyone else just is fine. Like you'll draw even with most heroes in the mid lane as Rubik. At worst, draw even. Unless there's some weird heroes that I'm not thinking of, which is definitely probable. But the Winter Wyvern's picked up from Infamous. So together with the Undying, have the offensive early game power of the Undying, that defensive later scaling with that Winter Wyvern, pretty much covering their bases here. Not like Winter Wyvern is really insane with anything that Well Played have right now. Embrace, Curse, they're both kind of pretty bad up against these heroes from Well Played, but it is a nice combo breaker, and everyone on Well Played are they're pretty combo reliant. Sand King, Phoenix, and Rubik all have like these spells that they need to chain together one after another. So having a pretty long range disable, even though it may not be like the most premium disable in the Curse, can still do a lot to help get your Centaur and Undying into position. Hey, and Terrorblade's a pretty good hero to be up against as Winter Wyvern, and a Slark for INF.Young. No surprises here at all. So this isn't INF.Young stopping on their aggro early game plan. It is slowing down a little bit to have some consideration for late, but I do still think they're going to try to be more so on the offensive than the defensive. The Winter Wyvern turned out to be a much better pick since this Terrorblade has been picked up. Embrace and Curse, both absolutely A+ spells up against that Terrorblade.
5 seconds remaining.
Sven, carry, please. It's a little bit late for that. We are on a 5-minute delay, guys. So if I say anything from the chat that will be what someone said 5 minutes ago, Sven just is, it's so easy to just get around him. I mean, look at all these heroes. Look at the first 4 picks, right? Sven ain't good against any of them. Like, Sven is just so garbage against so many heroes. Now, if these 4 picks, like these 4 first picks weren't here, maybe there would be a situation where you could have a carry Sven, but you'd have to have, like what would be the supports on the other end? Like, they would have to be pretty bad. Like, Warlock is someone that you could kind of handle as Sven. Silencer support is someone that Sven can deal with pretty well. So you'll be happy to see that. Basically, the more slows and stuns the enemy has, the worse Sven gets. And you can see this game, on both sides, they're pretty well laden with stuns. Maybe not the most on INF.Young. Centaur Warrunner has a stomp, but, everything else is kind of meh. But, like, if this was a Sven instead of a Slark, dude, INF.Young would be in for the beating of their life. There's really no way I would be able to justify a Sven. Except, no, there is. I lied. Sven Warcry is pretty good against Terrorblade. Whenever there's a pick that I'm like, ooh, I don't think that's the best pick, I always go through the why is that good and why is that bad type of reasoning. And Sven is a very, very narrow column in why is that good type of reasoning. There's just so much shit to deal with, so much stuff to run through. His nickname is Yadomi. It may be Yadomi, and I know it is because I have access to all their rosters, but it's not tagged up like that, so you don't get... Oh wait, it's kind of... It's like fancy schmancy lettering, but if he really wanted to be called that, he would have that as official name. Them's the rules, man. Them's the rules. The Tinker will be banned out. Still looks like looking for a matchup versus that Rubik. Again, I haven't seen that TA versus Rubik mid. Is there... What happened to Viper, man? What happened to Viper? They'll take out the DK. Interesting. They're not sure that the Rubik is going to be mid. Pugna's a hero that'll do just fine. Again, that's not a hero that anyone is going to crush if it is up against the Rubik. But this is, again, INF.Young going for a little bit more of that early game power play. Slark is a hero that you really don't need much in order to crush with, especially up against kind of these softer heroes like Phoenix, like Rubik. You should get a Shadow Blade and you can start bodying people. You'll have a tough time up against Terrorblade. That outrageous amount of armor is kind of tough for Slark to get through, but that's where magic damage from someone like a Pugna or decay from an Undying really comes more so into play. So the name of the game right now for well played is stall. Try to just hold down the fort, make sure that this aggro type draft from INF.Young isn't going to just overrun them 20 minutes in. And once they do stall, then Terrorblade, as he pushes towards the late game, not completely without answers on INF.Young, but will still just be the scariest hero on the map. And then you also have, like, you know, Sand King team fight, Phoenix team fight. Busting up the high ground for INF.Young is going to be a really slow endeavor. Lots and lots of slow chip damage. So it gives well played a lot of time to get into position and get their perfect team fight. So this last pick, Rubik, what is your role? What are the rules? What's it going to be? It's a Venomancer, which actually doesn't really show all too much from the well-played side. The fact that Dunha and Leo pick it up shows perhaps a little bit more, although I just realized that the roster I have is completely off. I don't know if that's Leo's style, because someone messed with something that the roster I have, which would mean mid Venomancer. I actually don't know. I just realized this roster just isn't correct at all from well played. Who knows, man? Who frickin' knows? I guess it is, or what other Leo is there? But the Venomancer is a pretty nice defensive hero as far as stalling is concerned. Obviously, you get those wards, which, though not really like a huge priority in the early stages, is, you know, when your tier 3 and tier 2s are going to be siege, you'll have the Plague Wards, you should have the Plague Wards, and that could help a lot to try to stall out. A little bit of chip damage to soften up heroes so that your Sand King and Phoenix have easier access. You know, in general, I'm not a huge fan of the Venomancer. You can definitely see why the Venomancer is damage-wise weak in this game, because lots of what he has is just going to be countered by this heal of the Pugna and the Undying and the Winter Wyvern and even the Slark. Not to mention the Slark can just straight purge off some of the more dangerous spells from the Venomancer. So damage-wise, you can definitely see it's not really the best game to be playing a Venomancer. However, outside of that, just being a nice, control-y, slow hero, I don't mind this Venomancer. I mean, the Tinker was... They themselves banned out the Tinker, didn't they? That hero could have been really rough, actually, up against the Pugnas. Maybe it wasn't going to be the Tinker. We'll see what this Venomancer is able to get done. It seems like he can do some things very well in this game, but that's kind of only half of what the Venomancer usually is going to do. Like, usually you want to be a very heavy damage dealer with also that defensive twist. In this game, dealing that damage while still possible is not going to be nearly as easy. I don't know if my volume is high enough so you can hear that dancing centaur music. I actually have no idea. But it looks like Terrorblade will be going up towards the top lane, and no surprises, Slark will be on bottom. Yeah, pretty much everything is going to break down as expected. Centaur, Winter Wyvern is perhaps not the most dangerous lane, but still will be a lane to put some pretty decent pressure on that Terrorblade. The pressure going the other way is certainly going to be a worry for this Slark. You're kind of okay trading hits, but trading hits up against a Sand King, up against a Phoenix, that's some tough times, man. That's not something that's super easy to do. Show me that dive. Show me that dive. That was not a dive. That was exactly not a dive, but what did happen was that INF.Young, they grabbed this top bounty rune, put a lot of easy damage onto this Terrorblade, and end up with a 3-1 bounty rune split. 3-1 bounty rune split. There it is from Skullfield. Alright, pretty decent start for the INF.Young side. Don't want to let them get this snowball rolling. That is a very, very dangerous situation to be in. And, well, there's only so much you can do as a Centaur Winter Wyvern up against this Terrorblade once he decides to Metamorph. Real tough to handle that lane then, but you know, they'll get around to it eventually. Rubik as a pure support, I would say probably a little bit more of a rarity than Rubik going towards that mid lane, but he is still very effective. He gets the job done, especially when your laner is someone as proficient as a Sand King who is not going to be detected any longer, so great sentry from Well Played. Level 1 Sand King, yeah, it's not really the most dangerous thing in the world. Once you get to level 3, level 4, Slark is very soft. And you really only get your survivability at Slark once you hit level 6. That's why we see Slark loading out with so much regeneration in the salves and the tangos. Because he knows that there's a lot of chip damage that's going to be coming in once the Sand King picks up his levels. So things are going to get, I would imagine, much worse for the Slark once these levels pick up. But so far, hey, if you could stay alive, kind of limit your usage of these tangos of that salve, then you'll be able to get that CS. And if you're able to get the CS and that Shadow Blade coming up all the more quickly, it's all good times for Slark if you're able to kind of manage how much damage you take in this bottom lane. What's going on here? Leo is just putting the screws to Robo right now. And man, oh man, is that some efficient damage. But you gotta respect the blast. Level 2 versus the... Wow, that is a huge difference. The 4 denies. I gotta assume a lot of those were on the range creeps because this Pugna has almost a full level advantage over that Venomancer. That really should not be happening. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like there was some really heavy range deny action going on there. The Pugna rather has a lot more base damage than the Venomancer, so it is understandable to see that happen. Although it really shouldn't be happening. 68, 1 Null Talisman, 2 Wraith Bands, soon to be on the Venomancer, but even like with 1.5 Wraith Bands, like 59 base damage, really low. Poison Sting kind of helps a little bit, but the chip damage you get out from Poison Sting is nothing compared to these blasts. So Pugna should be able to stabilize this lane, and this kind of lead that he sees, not huge, but you know, just a slight CS lead. I would expect that to be kind of sticking for the entirety of this game from Robo. It's just really hard to fight back as a Venomancer. Gale isn't really a dangerous spell. It's really the right clicks after the Gale, even from the creeps. Like, you gotta respect these creeps. If you're the Pugna, that's where the real damage comes in. Once he gets his bottle out, fun times a little bit less in there from Leo. But also, Robo's really weak with no more regen outside of a Fairy Fire. If he gets tagged by another Gale at long range, he might just be dying, even if he is very close to his tower. And never mind, he has a cell. It's not Leo. It's not Leo is Mandy. I don't know, man. Leo is Leo. People will be changing their names all up in this game. This TB, though, is having a grand time. Another Metamorphosis out, which means another easy creep wave or 2 of last hitting. And Centaur, Winter Wyvern especially, like, these aren't really the greatest heroes at harassing a Terrorblade. I am a little bit surprised that this Undying is not up there. I feel like with an Undying Centaur, they could be like 100% walling out that Terrorblade. They're trying to instead secure this farm on the Slark, and to their credit, it is working pretty well. But even though Slark's getting farm, Benjez is getting just as much farm. And god damn it, they go in for mid lane as soon as they go in for bottom. I'm sorry guys, that was on me. That's my fault. Robo took a lot of damage for there, but yeah, that was my B. Man, I knew that was happening. I was watching them for so goddamn long also. And then all of a sudden, it's Phoenix in a lot of trouble who already used his dive. We'll need some body blocks, but no Splinter. That means no body blocks. Costa will be fine. But Cat went in really to try to kill off a Centaur. Without Metamorphosis, I don't really know what happened there. Like, something weird communication-wise must have happened. If you have a Metamorphosis, I could see them killing Centaur. Maybe two times out of 5. Maybe 1 time out of 5. Without Metamorphosis, that's a easy 0 out of 5 kill. Like, you're never getting that kill. So, yeah, that Venomancer v Pugna matchup. With the first blood for the Pugna, now has his bottle. So any chip damage he sustains is going to be kind of limited. And Venomancer just can't afford to get into that duel scenario. Especially once this happens. Once this last creep dies, that's level 6 for the Pugna. And now Leo just has no chance of killing this Pugna because of this. You know, maybe you get him in between the life drains. Like, if the Venomancer went right now, like, that would be his best shot. Even then, it's not really a great shot. Like, life drain just craps on Venomancer in every single way. You can't outrace him. You can't even kill his allies because life drain can heal his allies. This lane is turning into a Plague Ward lane, which is, I mean, still going to shove this wave out from his own tower. So the creep wave I would expect to be mostly over here. And for a Venomancer, that's pretty good. Like, the Pugna really just wants to be pushing your tower. And if you could keep him from doing that, keep your tower healthy. Even though you may want to go for tower pushing yourself as Venomancer, breaking even in the mid-river, kind of stalling out in that area, that's satisfactory. Whisper, oof, takes a hell of a lot of damage on this bottom lane. The Undying, really, oh, Centaur. Centaur is doing things. Yeah, the Undying's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But then again, oh god. This Venomancer's in a rough spot, man. A very, very rough position. I know, like, I kind of want to see what happens in these other lanes, because there's definite kill potential here. But every single time I look away, just Venomancer's dying. Especially when a Pugna has a freaking regen rune. That certainly doesn't hurt. I mean, kill-wise, pressure-wise for mid lane, things are going pretty darn well for the Radiant. They are going to have to worry about a couple of really farmed dire cores, however. Ultimately, even with these 2 kills, even with that first blood included, still well played, have this gold lead. Not a substantial one, not really anything to write home about, but it's still there. So you can see how much these 2 kills actually mattered. The answer is none. It mattered none. Now, they can definitely change that once these blasts start actually destroying towers. And that shouldn't really be that far off, especially with this regen rune still in position for that siege. But there is a Rubik wrapping around. Probably was spotted by this Obs. So I'm not really sure if Robo's going to expect this or not. He may just be going in for Leo, so he may be in for a 2v2 here. Splinter Blast to Decrepify, Life Drain Blast, and the Venomancer just got absolutely obliterated. He didn't get a single thing off. He just got crushed. Well, this tower is definitely going down, that's for sure. Maybe not going down, but it's taking a lot of damage. It looks like it'll go down. Yeah, I would say it's pretty well dead. Not fortifiable either by the Dire. Here's the sick deny from the Rubik. No, okay. He tried his best, guys. He tried his best. This Pugna is kind of running away with this game right now. He is, oh my god, almost doubling the Venomancer in net worth. And now he's going to make his rotations. This is so devastating. We usually don't see Pugnas get this much of an early game lead. Being able to rotate into the side lanes with level 4 Blast and Arcane Boots is devastating. Not to mention Bottle and 2 Null Talismans. Like, if you just have Arcane Boots on a Pugna with level 4 Blast, you're pushing towers like nobody's business. Having all of this as bonus, that's a ridiculous amount of pressure. And that's pressure that Well Played really can't stand up against. This is INF.Young's entire strategy. This is what their draft was picked up to do, and man, it looks like they're going to go ahead and do it. Phoenix is going to dive away. No, he's not. He decided to stick around. I'm not entirely sure why he didn't just dive away. Maybe he would have a chance if he did, but he's dead now. So that happened. And that tower is probably going to go down also. The Vanguard on the Centaur, yeah, they are just itemizing to break some faces in. And the crackback on the mid lane isn't even that severe. What is this, 2 points, 3 points in the Plague Wards? That's not bad, but there's a Pugna on the other end. Pugna is still the pushing king. Although Costa is a pretty darn good pusher as well in his own right. So, you know, maybe for well played, they can make some of these towers that they lose into tower trades. I don't believe any of these TPs are spotted by this illusion. Not yet. Okay, now they are. Although, here's the Stampede onto the Sand King. Immediately stomped into the dirt. And Cat, well, he makes another full dive. That doesn't really do him many favors because Slark is there to kill him on the return trip. They take down the tower, but ultimately it's a tower trade 1-for-1. I don't think it was denied. It wasn't. It was a tower trade 1-for-1, and INF.Young get another 2 kills. A kill included on that Sand King. Oh man, Sand King is really bulky. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had most of this when he died. But even with this additional magic resistance, even with like all this health, still, he just crumbled, man. That was Stampede into Stomp and a Decrepify Blast combo from the Pugnan, he just instantly died. Well played, still have yet to get on the board. I don't think I've seen INF.Young with this group of players play before. Maybe once or twice. I am rather impressed at how they're moving in this game, though. They do have to make sure not to give Costa too much space to make these trades, because every single time you set up for this push, this is exactly what the Venomancer is built to do. Just, I mean, he's somewhere else now, obviously, but just, you know, place a couple of wards here and there, force this group of INF.Young to run into this brick wall of wards, and then make them fall back. Of course, that'll be a lot more difficult to do once the Slark is with the Shadow Blade and hunting for all these softer supports. And he's not too far away from it. He's actually pretty darn close to his Shadow Blade. If only Slark could get a item that combined Ring of Basilius with his current Wraith Band, that would be a godsend. His mana situation definitely isn't looking too great. Ooh, Benjaz. Double Edge, Stampede. Oh, we got tagged by the Stampede slow. That means the Burrow Strike outwards isn't really an escape, and he's just gonna die. If he Burrow Struck a little bit earlier before he got tagged by the Stampede, he would have maybe a chance. But that's 4 heroes in the bottom lane to kill off that Sand King, to kill off the tower. Will they be able to kill off that tower? With Venomancer being chunked down to half HP, I would say they have a pretty decent shot. Again, this is really where you have to worry about where this Terrorblade's going. You see this Terrorblade, he's kind of navigating well around these 4 heroes. He doesn't want any part of this, not yet. Has Yasha, I would imagine there's going to be a Dragon Lance sometime in the near future for him. Just get these value stat items. Well, I mean, it's 4 heroes onto that Sand King, gets the kill, and then no damage onto the tower, in fact. This is a lot of waste of time for Infamous. Granted, a couple heroes from Well Played have to stick around here also, just to make sure they don't give this tower away for free. But they're kind of fine doing this, because this is still farm time for the Venomancer, and farm time for the Terrorblade, who's actually going to go BKB next, so he's ready to get into the fray. I mean, 7-0, 2k lead for INF.Young, and already I'm a bit concerned with how they're operating in this game. I did say their movement was pretty good. That was before they decided to park 4 heroes in this bottom lane and do actually nothing with all of them. This has been 4 heroes in the bottom lane, and then Slark doing his own thing for like the past 2 minutes now, and they've been doing pretty much nothing but killing this like 1 creep wave over and over again. That's not exactly a great way to go, man. They need to find some sort of pick off and transition that into towers and try to repeat doing that. Slark now has a Shadow Blade, so maybe they'll be looking to do that soon. But now that the Venomancer's here and all set up with level 4 Plague Wards, this push is over. They can't go anymore. You would expect, with these type of heroes and with the early kills that they've gotten, that have more than a 2k lead. I think Well Played, I mean, they're not, like, fully stabilized or anything like that, because Pugna can still push these towers. Clearly, he can still drop these bombs with that Decrepify Blast. But they've kind of gotten over one of the humps in this game, where they are very weak and the enemies are very strong. So they're fighting at least now on even footing. There's a lot to be said for that. TB still doing just fine in the net worth department. They do know it, the Slark is with Shadow Blade. And they're going to jump right in towards this bottom lane. They've got an angle onto the Pugna, but the Curse lets him just book it on out of there. Now looking for the Winter Wyvern. I think this is a solid tree wall. In the meantime, Leo, in the middle of freaking nowhere, just gets assassinated by the Slark. And now the return is coming in as INF.Young looking for some revenge in this bottom lane. They do know there's a Rubik somewhere in the trees, but with no Stampede, I don't think they can catch up. That's not going to happen. So ultimately, it is Slark showing off that Shadow Blade onto a Venomancer. Great Curse response there from the Winter Wyvern. Perhaps a little sloppy positioning from Well Played to just get caught by that 3-man Curse to begin with. But hey, ultimately they do still get a pretty high value kill on that Venomancer. Now if they're able to get something out of it afterwards, that would be great. But again, we have 4 heroes parked on the bottom lane, killing the same creep wave over and over. I'm fairly certain that given these 2 lanes, Terrorblade will be able to farm more efficiently than the Slark just because he has illusions. Like if it's a 4v4 Stallfest on bottom lane, Terrorblade is winning. Although if the towers start to actually go down, it's a different story entirely. Whoa, Phoenix, careful there, bud. Does get a pretty good read of where that Centaur is. Should have spotted that Blink Dagger as well. TB and Slark, are they going to run into each other? Haste? Okay, yeah, that's not going to happen. Tower gets denied. It's still some gold for INF.Young, but that's still a lot of gold they're not getting. Immediately the smoke is out, and they're going to draw a line for Whisper. They don't have any easy wave initiation, but oh, they see the pact go off. If they stun him right now, no. Level 4 oh, it's not even level 4 Burrow Strike, yeah. If they had level 4 Burrow Strike, maybe, but level 2 Burrow Strike, not a chance. Pounce forward, Whisper wants in. Not really sure if there's much for him here. They're going to walk up the hillside. Stampede, Blink, looking for that blind stomp. I appreciate the gusto there from the Centaur War Runner, but ultimately doesn't do anything. Slark's got 2 permanent agility. You won't notice that. Can he? Oh, he's just got a free kill here. Easy kills on Rubik's. And over in the mid lane in the meantime, oh, Decay goes on a couple, and there's the Supernova right in the middle of the fight. No one's focusing right now. Instead, it stuns onto the Centaur War Runner. Stampeding out. He will go down just barely to the dots of the Phoenix, but with the curse onto Benjaz, his allies will turn and kill off their friendly Sand King. A 2-for-1 overall so far. Rubik is forced to buy back. Unfortunately for him, there's nothing to buy back into. They do take down the Centaur, but pretty steep cost, and Whisper found himself a Venomancer. Found himself a Rubik, and there is not much hope for this Rubik who just bought back. Tried to force him out, tried to Sunray heal. Just a little bit too little, a little bit too late, and immediately the ping is out. Top lane, they want that tower. And I don't think there's much that Well Played can do about this. If they had a Blink Dagger or level 4 Burrow Strike, they might be able to. If they had a Supernova, they might be able to. But seeing as though they have neither, more free structures here for INF.Young. You know, that 2-3 minute, actually it was probably like a 5-minute stall out on the bottom lane. That did cost them a lot of their tempo. But being able to take those fights like that, picking off a couple more towers immediately after, finding a double damage rune. I'm not sure if they're feeling quite powerful enough to go for Roshan. I mean, they have Centaur to tank, but their damage output, even with double damage, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to get this cleanly. They may be able to get it if Well Played let them get it. Well Played are kind of looking like they're moving into position here, though. Dire Obs does see everyone walking around, so Roshan is clear as day. They saw the double damage rune picked up as well. Sentries everywhere. And Roshan, brave attempt, not going to do much. BKB on the Terrorblade means he's ready to go. He's not ready to go, though, because he has no Metamorphosis. So they have to stall for 40 seconds. I don't know if INF.Young have that timer, but at the same time, I don't think there's much they can do to force the issue into Roche. Just put yourself at too much threat from that Phoenix play, from the Poison Nova from the Venomancer. They're just going to slide back down bottom. That's fine for Well Played. They're not ready to go yet. They still have this Metamorphosis they're waiting on. What does this Venomancer have? Force Staff into Vessel. And pretty sure there's not much else here. That's actually a pipe on the Sand King. That's completed now. I saw him with the hood before. Pipe is decent in this game. It's not like a super premium pipe game or whatever, but you'll still get your value. So he's really, really bulky, but he needs to get in there. He needs to be the initiation for the team. I don't mind the pickup at all, but this Blink Dagger needs to be coming soon. Smoke up on Benjez. Smoke up will be broken on the Centaur. So 1-1, but the Dire have an obs on the high ground, so they know exactly what's going on here. Burrow Strike, though, misses. They'll go for the Venomancer instead. Why is he there? The Phoenix lands a really nice dive onto everyone, but now he's tagged with a whole bunch of zombies, and he's going to fall as well. Venomancer must have come from this direction. There's a Plague Ward here, so I assume that's what happened. I don't... Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, guys. I am not sure about that one. Like, if you miss the Burrow Strike on Centaur, that's fine. Like, you don't need to get the initiation on the Centaur there. You don't really want to be initiating on a Centaur anyway. But then just, like, giving away your Phoenix and Venomancer like that. This Phoenix is definitely feeling a little bit too uppity. Oh, Courier. Okay, Sentry saves the Courier. The Phoenix is definitely a little bit too uppity with those dives. Got to be a little more cautious. The slows and chase from INF.Young are... They're pretty substantial. You don't really want to be caught without that escape tool.
Don't mind if I do.
Winter Wyvern, nothing but an Ether Lens. You can see a build like that every day. Usually it's going to be more of a Glimmery type build, which I'm a little bit surprised she doesn't have. That additional magic resistance is pretty huge, but just blink Aether Lens. Just wants to land that curse. And if Terrorblade is attacking his ally, any ally, that ally is dying. So Schofield's going for a very, very offensive Winter Wyvern build here. You know what? I don't mind that one bit. Leo, you're going into a Hornet's Nest right now. The Pounce does miss. Brostrike on the high ground available. They're going to give the Venomancer a little more space. She is going to get cursed, but should still survive. In the meantime, it's the Terrorblade. He's metamorphed. He's doing what he can. He will kill off a Centaur, but they lose the Phoenix in the meantime. The Undying gets separated. He should fall as well, making it a 2-for-1. 2-for-1? Yeah, Venomancer was able to get out of there. So that's BKB Metamorphosis Terrorblade showing up big. There's also a pretty ambitious level 1 egg from the Phoenix. But you gotta do what you gotta do to save your Venomancer, right? Oh, double damage rune. Got it. Plus 295 and plus 295 into a Slark! Okay, he's gonna get that physical resist, so he's fine. And magic resist. He's pure physical resist actually because of that Decrepify. But he's still just gonna get blown up by a double damage Terrorblade. Wrong neighborhood. Can't be attacked, and even if you were attacked, you can't because you're ethereal. So you just can't be attacked. Ethereal full armor. Talking about redundant. So talk about good times to find a double damage rune. This is one of them. They don't have any of their big ultimates bar Epicenter, but it's only a level 1 spell. Costa does not have his Metamorphosis. They're really trying hard here to get around this timing where there is no Slark, but I don't know if this is quite going to work out the way they want it to. Because they don't have any of their tools to fight back. If a fight actually... What are you... Whoa! Winter Wyvern, what? What the hell was that? She just went in, man. Winter Wyvern is not a tanky hero. What? Literally just flew into Roshan. Like, you have... You're flying. What? What are you doing? Here comes the Centaur trying to go in, but like, oh, gets telekinesed and sundered and dropped. They do kill off Roshan, but the snatch goes off onto Costa, so he has the Aegis, and they found Pugda. They found 3 actually with a huge Burrow Strike. The Supernova overhead. Whisper tries to book it out of there with a Shadow Dance, as will the Undying. It looks like they will get a little bit of distance. The Undying. Sun Ray burning him down. The Reflection slowing him, and he will fall also. Alright. That's not how that was supposed to go. That is not how that was supposed to go at all. I mean, first of all, you throw away your Winter Wyvern, you throw away your curse. You go in to begin with up against what you know is a double damage Terrorblade. You know he has double damage. I mean, that was a brave attempt. I'll give them that. And they did kill off Roche. Who got the Roshan? Looks like... Yeah, it's just the Radiant got Roshan. Radiant killed Roche, but they didn't get the Aegis. So, I mean, they get something. Not much. And suddenly, there's a Blink Dagger on Sand King. A little bit of anti-Slark tech on the Rubik. That is very nice, in fact. So, like, when well played are at their weakest, Infamous kind of give them a freebie and give them a free fight.
I'll take that.
It was an ambitious one. In case that isn't clear, that was not a good play for INF.Young to be making in the first place. I like stalling for their Slark. I like that play. But you can't really throw lives away in that attempt to stall. It's not that important. Just give them the Roche. And now they're looking down the barrel of a pretty devastating push. BKB, Metamorph onto Costa. He's gonna take a little bit of damage, but now healed up, has Sunder, and suddenly Centaur, who was very tanky, is just gonna get roasted by the Sunray. And look at that, Costa didn't lose any of his HP. Thanks to that barrier, thanks to that Spirit Vessel heal, and this tower will go down shortly after. Whisper is doing what he can in this bottom lane, but this is a Slark pushing. It's actually not incredibly slow. Let's see what Dunha can do to actually stall this. Draws out the creep aggro. Telekinesis, perhaps. Stomp. No pact, so it's a full duration stomp. That lasts for a very long time up against that aura with the Sand King coming in. Okay, that's all you gotta say, man. That's all you gotta say is okay. That's disrespect for the new Rubik. In the last patch, that wouldn't work. Cause I mean, how long does Stomp last? 2.75 with 36%. That's another like almost full second. That increase of debuff duration, negative status resistance, whatever you want to call it, that is something the Slark just purely miscalculated on. And that's like kind of one of the reasons why mid Rubik can be so much more devastating nowadays. You steal something like an LSA or a Burrow Strike and people are going to be stunned forever. It actually just lasts for so long. If Slark had a packed up, yeah, he could have definitely turned things around there, either to escape or to kill them both. But he just mismanaged. Tried to greed out a little bit on that bottom lane. There's still an Aegis in the hands of this Terrorblade. Still there's a Metamorphosis and Arcane Rune. Oh, the value. Last second. He's going to get a lot of damage, though. Sunray keeping him balanced. And now here comes the Sunder. Suddenly Costa's at full, but he used his BKB and the Sunder for that. And Curse. Who is that? That's the Venomancer. Attacked by everyone except for the real Terrorblade. He might survive. No, he's going to go down. Dive in now from the Phoenix, looking to give that Terrorblade a little bit of assistance. He does still have this Metamorphosis and the Aegis. In the back line, the Supernova Whisper, he's going to get stunned by it, but no one's actually attacking him. And he will just go ahead into the Shadow Dance. Costa looks like he's going to lose this life. Burrow Strike, though, onto the Slark, and he gets saved by the Centaur with the two-man stomp, but here comes the Terrorblade. He's back, but he's melee. Not really sure what he could do here. Epicenter onto the Centaur does about 0 damage up against that Cold Embrace. They've lost too many heroes. They're now on the run. But Whisper looking to give chase. Dunha sees him coming. Splinter Blast not going to do him many favors. Throws it out because why not? But now he's going to go down. More agility for the Slark. And that push, that sequence of events there, because you have to Metamorphosis, BKB, and Sunder before the fight really starts, taking a fight after that, inherently dangerous. I don't know how he keeps getting these double damage runes. What happened there? How does he keep doing it? But yeah, once you use a BKB and your Sunder, the fight is usually over. Like, you gotta fall back. Sticking around like that is so dangerous, and sticking around like this is so dangerous. He has a Sunder. He needs some backup. Stat, though. Costa got a Sunder, and he does get it off before the Shadow Dance. So we get a lot of extra HP, but the Curse goes off into the Sand King, and the Terrorblade just chews him apart. And eventually going to come in with a really nice Nova. Costa, heal from the Sunray, still with the BKB, in a lot of trouble. Pounce and Stampede. He's got so much armor, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Slark on his tail. They're going to lose a lot of heroes in the background, but now here comes Donut. Saving Costa. No, he's going to kill him off. Oh, the salve. He gets tossed a salve by the Rubik that saves him from the Splinter Blast. However, everyone else is going to fall. They get a Centaur. That's great. But they lose 3 heroes in an attempt to save that TB. Is it worth it? Probably. Is it still bad? Absolutely. If they lost that Terrorblade to that Splinter Blast, then this game just might be over. Like, taking a 4-for-1 like that is game ending. Instead, we are still pretty much on complete even footing.
Dire are scanning.
Lots of agility, though. Lots of agility lost there by the Terrorblade. I mean, obviously, it's just like all attributes, but the agility is what matters. This is going to be tough. The Infamous do have probably not as much brute force late game as well played, but WP don't really have the levels to really back this up. And the Phoenix is dirt poor, even with that gold per minute talent. So the contribution of a later stage Phoenix, though normally very high, is not going to be quite up to snuff in this game. Venomancer is just going pretty suicide bomber in this game. He's going to go for the Ags. And Sand King, I mean, he's been in the area, but so far, like, no huge epicenters. This entire draft from WP is, how do we support our Terrorblade? And when your Terrorblade gets nuked down so easily, like, it's really hard to support him. They need a Glimmer Cape or a Lincoln Sphere. Another Lincoln Sphere, not on Terrorblade, but like on someone else to give to the Terrorblade. Or whatchamacallit, a Lotus.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I mean, once you get, I keep on forgetting, I can't click items, and like once you actually get this Lincoln Sphere, can I can't, okay, well, we're not looking at Lincoln Sphere then. Trying to move the camera and mouse over Lincoln Sphere at the same exact time. In the ball back, they land a two-man stomp. Sand King and Rubik, they're still going to survive, surprisingly, for a very long time. Stampede now given to all of the allies as Costa's going to chase down for Robo, and he's going to self-decrepify. Gets embraced as well. Costa is kind of all alone here. BKB not used. Still has that Sunder. He's going to have to use it, but he's going to get cursed. The Sunray keeping him alive, letting him have a chance for a Sunder, and he's going to get something off. It was a really weak Sunder, but he gets it off regardless. That's all that matters. Now looking for the Undying. He's going to get away just barely. It's a Rubik for a Centaur. Sunray showing off how powerful it can be. Look at this heal. That Terrorblade had that heal the entire time. That was a very anticlimactic fight, honestly. Well, got to see how powerful Sunray was, I guess. There's a lot to be said there. Slark's out once more. Under a sentry, though. He knows it. I mean, he just saw the sentry. He has a gem. I think they see it. I think they see the sentry, guys. They're trying to debate with this Terrorblade illusion. It almost worked. You could see them, like, kind of going in this direction. This game is a Terrorblade game, through and through. They're able to not burst down these heroes, though. If WP are able to get a elongated fight, that's where Sand King, Venomancer get really, really powerful compared to Rubik. Or compared to Pugna, rather. Because they're able to let their spells come back on cooldown, get all that poison ticking down. The heroes like Centaur that really don't want to take long extended fights. They want to get in with Stampede, get a kill, and then kind of clean up afterwards. Winter Wyvern is very similar. And, of course, Pugna. I mean, Pugna's not bad in those elongated fights, but you know, he's not quite as improved in a long fight as a Venomancer or Sand King. Unless he has that Ags, which he's heading towards. Dagon is still very powerful. Low cooldown on that thing. This is a weird Roshan standoff with no Roshan. This is great for the Slark. I mean, he's just chewing through the creep waves up in top lane. Moonshard attack speed, pretty ridiculous. And now they know that there is, in fact, something to fight over. Will they actually be able to fight over it, though? Getting a jump on the Slark. Oh, they see him. But he knows about it, too. So he knows there's a sentry right in the area. They move forward, reflect blindly. And now Costa is in the middle of really nowhere. Sunray has a pretty good angle to heal him up, however. And he should be fine for a little while longer. Tombstones. There is an embrace. Okay, they get the curse on the Phoenix. And that should be a dead bird, and it is. The Rubik now in a little bit of trouble, but it's Costa. You got to keep your eye on it the entire time. He's going to find a chance to turn around onto the Slark, who is going to BKB and Shadow Dance. So he'll survive for a little while longer as Cat is back in the fight. Nova goes off, forcing everyone from INF.Young to spread in every which direction. And it looks like the Nova only landed on the one hero, the Undying. He straight TP'd out. And they forced the buyback on the Phoenix. But that is cursed down for the Winter Wyvern. That is perhaps the most dangerous spell that Infamous have. That means go straight back into the Roche Pit. Costa is gonna get to work. Schofield now, I mean, he's still really farmed. Surprisingly farmed. Holy crap is he farmed. But all that gold, I'm not sure if it's gonna be worth it if you don't have any skills to back it up. And when your Centaur goes in kind of as a scout, I'm not sure if that's the best move, because now the Supernova's overhead. Lots of damage going on to Robo. Gale does miss. Benjaz on the chase. Has a clean Burrow Strike target. He'll go for the Undying. And with the right clicks from the Terrorblade, everyone's gonna fall. They find Schofield as well to the north. Sunray, slow roasting, super effective. One more right click, almost. Burrow Strike will get the kill. Slark is killing off Obs and Sentries in the background. Goes for Cat, but now he's gonna get dusted. He does packed it off immediately. Telekinesis though, Sunder and the right clicks. Slark is gonna fall here. He does have a buyback, but everyone bought back on the Radiant side. Curse onto the Venomancer. He's gonna get killed by his allies. No! Gets saved just barely. Not long enough on that curse. So the Venomancer survives, and that was like 3-4 buybacks on the INF.Young side. Is there a shrine though? What are you doing here, Benjaz? He's fine. There is no shrine. So the Venomancer is going to take all day to get back to this fight. That was incredibly messy from Infamous. And they're playing things very, very risky right now. Illusion, cancel the Blink Dagger on that Centaur. Reflection is out now. The Centaur thrown into his own Hoof Stomp as Kosta's going to go to work on the Nether Ward, so that's down. There's a Tombstone here as well. Kosta going to have the BKB. He's going to walk right in. Roshan is going to die by the Roshan, by Dire, and Benjaz gets the Aegis, and Kosta is in the middle of the fight. BKB, though, has run out. That's a double life on the Sand King. He has no Metamorphosis, but can he go in anyway? Everyone else on his team is pretty healthy. Centaur and Undying both dying to the poison. In fact, everyone dying to the poison. Losing my freaking mind in this game. This is game 1 out of up to 9 today, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to get on my shit because this game might just be over.
Dire's bottom tower.
They walk in with BKB on Kosta. And, oh, who is that? That's Sand King. Poor Sand King. Feels bad, man. Well, they got Sand King, but oh, he's going to buy back. They know that they all spent their buybacks on INF.Young in that last, kind of that first half of that team fight. That is not an accurate fight recap. Well played. Just rallying around this Terrorblade. All about how do we help our TB. We get Pipe on the Sand King, 4 stabs. Heaven's Halberds. All that jazz. Just make sure the TB has a clean time and he will deliver. And so far, he's delivering. So far, he is in fact delivering. And oh, Schofield, what are you doing there, buddy? Good save attempt from the Centaur War Runner, but he's going to get lifted and just torn apart by the Terrorblade. And now I think they can go for the straight GG push instead of going for 2 set of racks. There's no one here that's relevant. Undying doesn't do anything. Pugna also won't do anything against this many heroes because he's just going to get lifted and dropped. So this GG. I think INF.Young played this pretty well for most of the game. I think the Roshan kind of like corrupted their brains. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm going to turn this off. I didn't realize this was on. I just was kind of ignoring it. I'm going to turn it off right now, in fact. Where is it? Somewhere here. Display network information. Hide that. Okay, sorry about that. They played pretty well throughout most of it. Like, a couple of moments where they were kind of stalled out on the towers. Wasn't a huge fan of it, but their rotations were pretty good. Their decision and how they handled Roche, it was just vastly inferior to what Well Played were doing. Sorry about my dog also. Someone is apparently arriving home. But guys, this is just game 1. Well Played, under the gun for sure, but 10-0-10 on the Terrorblade. That 4 Protect 1 style, straight out of patch 6 point whatever when that was a thing. We'll see what happens in game 2, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll be right back.